City council and staff are not permitted to respond to comments or questions during the public comment period in accordance with Fremont Municipal Code Section 2-103. Public comments will be limited to 3 minutes per person and shall not contain topics included on this evening's agenda. If you are here to speak this evening, you can please sign in here at the front. There's also a pen. There's also a box for comment cards, and we will call upon you when we're ready. So, Travis, you want to please call the first person?
Linda Von Baron.
Linda Von Baron, 2046 East 30th Street. For several weeks, several of us in Central Park area have been pondering how to deal with an eyesore on North Laverna Street. What was once a rental business has become junk storage for old trucks, cars, boats, along with scrub trees and weeds taller than most of us. Most people don't realize that our police are here to help with issues like this and other nuisance situations. So tonight, I want to thank the Fremont Police Department for contacting the owner and also to thank the owner for starting the cleanup process. Our neighborhood appreciates the effort and we look forward to the future progress of this property. Thank you very much.
Next up is a Rich Hirschman. I apologize if I mispronounced your name. Rich Hirschman.
My name is Rich Hirschman. I'm at 215 West 20th in Fremont. And I'm happy to say that I just figured this out this past week. I have lived here now for 50 years. Yeah. And I'm a retired school teacher. So I've enjoyed the 50 years, virtually all of it. I just want to make really one comment today. I guess the only thing that really upsets me about Fremont are the city streets, the condition of the city streets. And I know you're working on that. And we definitely have had improvements for that on Lincoln, Bell, so on. And we have a big one coming up on Broad. And I live just right off of Broad. So I just want to give a couple of comments about that. Because I sit on my front, porch. It's not really a porch, the front steps, just patio type thing. And I can see Broad Street quite clearly. I could also feel it and definitely hear it. There's a lot there. And I think we have to do a little bit more for the residents that live along Broad Street and those that are not that far from Broad Street. One thing that I would like to have seen done, and I've heard that the committee here has kind of talked about this a little bit, is the speed limit. The speed limit now is 35 until you get about to the library, and then it goes down to 25. I don't know of anybody that drives 25 through there. I really don't. And in terms of 35 on the Broad Street, most of that, definitely I would like to see that turned down to 30 at least. I believe that's important for the residents to get in and out of there, particularly with the truck traffic that travels down Broad Street. And I know a couple of times I've been a little bit white-knuckled because I have to turn left a number of times off of Broad. And of course, I have cars behind me, cars coming from the other way. We only have that 2 lanes, a little wide 2 lanes, but 2 lanes. And I am stopped there waiting to turn left because there's no left turn lane on 20th, as there aren't on most of those streets. And I'm looking in my rearview mirror at some truck that's coming up. Well, I sure hope that he is watching and slowing down so that I don't get creamed, my little car. And that is something really to be taken in. And I appreciate the truck drivers' problems with this. Okay, I am done, but anyway, I would like to see that really taken down to 30. And just one more comment. Somebody, maybe if you are not math challenged as I am, if you take the distance from 23rd down to about the library, 10th Street, 9th Street, and you measure that, and you reduce your speed limit from 35 to 30, how much does that really cost you in time? 1 minute? Maybe. 2 at the most. And that's it. I mean, what's the big deal? But I think that 5 really does help, particularly with the new road coming in. Are people going to only go 35? You know, so many people say, well, 5 miles over, they won't catch me, do anything. So I would just take that
Thank
into
you.
consideration, please.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, Ray Tuff is our next speaker.
Ray Tuff, 323 West Fifth, Fremont, Nebraska, 8025. Good evening, guys. Back again here to talk about the animals, of course. We've got to do something. We are not any further than what we were in February of 2021. Granted, we may be having a little bit better staff as far as, you know, egos and all that type of stuff, but we are also paying $12,000 more a month than what we used to pay, so that they can have employees rather than volunteers basically down there. But we went from inaccurate reports to now no reports. And tonight they should be entering in like the last couple of months of reports and nothing. We have no idea how many animals are in that place, how many are leaving, coming in, why they are even not taking in owner surrenders. I mean, my phone rings all day long of people wanting to surrender their animal because the programs that we have in place currently in Fremont are not working. And, you know, I've asked several times for maybe one of you guys or have chief put an officer in charge of going every morning and counting those animals. And at night, go count them again. It's really not that hard to know how many animals are in that place and how many are leaving. And more so, that is a violation of their contract. We actually terminated, one of the reasons we terminated Dodge County Humane Societies was because they didn't have enough in their reports. Now we're accepting inaccurate and no reports. That's absolutely horrible. And those reports are vital to us advocates to make sure that our community has proper programs in place. Currently, there's a group that is doing new ordinance and rewriting code for the animals in town. But how in the heck do they even know what to do, what programs we need if they don't even have accurate reports from the shelter? You know, I mean, and this has been going on for a couple of them have been rewriting this code for years. And now, I mean, Sally, you are on there, Paul, you're on there. I mean, I know you guys can't answer me, but how do you guys know what programs we need if you don't have accurate reports? I mean, I have a pet funeral home where I'm picking up half of the community's roadkill, and don't charge anything or nothing like that. But I'm really tired of my phone ringing nonstop about people wanting to surrender their animals. Well, why do people not have a place to surrender their animals? Because ours is full, our shelter's full, or, you know, we wouldn't have so many running the streets. So please do something. Thank you.
Those that just came in, we're here at the last few minutes of our open public comment. It goes until 7 o'clock. Gives a member of the public any opportunity to speak on any item that's not on the agenda for up to 3 minutes. You can come here in the front and sign in if you'd like. There's also comment cards. We'll call you to the front. Time is 7 o'clock. We'll close open public comment. We'll now start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'll go ahead and open up the Community Development Agency meeting and call it to order. Again, the time is 7 o'clock. The Opens Meeting Act is posted on the back wall next to the agendas. This time we'll have roll call for the Community Development Agency meeting.
8 members are present, Mayor.
Item 1 is Resolution 2025-008, authorizing amendment number 4 to the RD Leasing Redevelopment Agreement and issuance of TIF Note Phase 4 in the amount of $50,700.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members of the CDA, Travis Jaycott, City Attorney. This is a fourth amendment to the RD Leasing Redevelopment Agreement. The aggregate amount has not changed of TIF that they're seeking, which is $700,000 for the whole project, but this one is the one that's split up into 6 different phases. They're now on their 4th phase. They're a little bit more than halfway through the $700,000, and this is authorizing $50,000 to be distributed in approval of the amendment. I'll take any questions.
Questions for legal on this item? Are there any comments from the public? If there's no other additional comments, I would take a motion. Council. Councilman Sukram.
I'll make that motion on resolution 2025-008.
Councilman Jensen.
I'll second.
Cast your votes.
The motion carries 8-0, Mayor.
Now, item 2 is resolution 2025-009, accepting and acknowledging the collateral assignment and pledge agreement of TIF Note from Fremont Enterprises LLC to Pinnacle Bank.
Thank you again, Chairman. This is just authorizing assigning the right to receive payments to Pinnacle Bank regarding the Fremont Enterprises LLC redevelopment agreement. And I'll take any questions.
Questions for legal? Any comments from the public on this item? If there's no other additional comments from council, I would take a motion. Councilwoman Ganem.
I move we approve Resolution 2025-009, accepting and acknowledging the collateral assignment and pledge agreement of TIF Note from Fremont Enterprises LLC to Pinnacle Bank.
Councilman Sukram.
I'll second.
Cast your votes.
That motion carries 8-0, Mayor.
Would take a motion to adjourn the Community Development Agency meeting. Councilman Jensen.
Motion to adjourn.
Councilwoman Ganem.
Second.
Cast your votes.
The motion carries 8-0, Mayor.
We are adjourned. I'll go ahead and open up the city council regular meeting and call it to order. Time is 7:03. Again, the Opens Meeting Act is posted on the back wall next to the agendas. This time we'll have roll call.
Eight members are present, Mayor.
Next is mayor's comments. I'd like to recognize our May Service Awards this evening. We have 3 individuals. First is Daniel Klingsick, 25 years of service. Dan was hired as a line worker apprentice with the distribution department in 2000. In 2002, he became a line worker first class. And in 2011, he was promoted to line crew supervisor. He was promoted into his current role as distribution superintendent as of 2024. 25 years. Thank you, Dan Klingsick. John Brady, 15 years of service. John was hired as a police officer in 2010. And in 2015, he was promoted to his current role as police sergeant. And Aaron Smith, 10 years of service. Aaron started with the Department of Utilities as an accounting associate in 2015. And in 2018, she moved into her current position as a power plant statistical technician 1. So these 3 individuals weren't able to make it tonight, but we do appreciate their service to the community. 25 years, 15 and 10. That's a great loyalty to Fremont. So I want to thank them. That concludes my comments, and we'll move on to item 1 is a motion to adopt the current agenda for the May 27th, 2025 regular meeting. Councilman Horner,
I'll make that motion.
Councilman Vaughn,
I will second.
cast your votes to approve the agenda for tonight.
That motion carries 8-0, Mayor.
Item 2 is a motion to appoint Otis Seals as police officer for my recommendation. It is my honor tonight to present Otis Seals as a new police officer to the department. He has gone through the civil service process, completed all necessary requirements, and I'm very excited to be able to present Mr. Seals tonight to join our police department. Are there any questions or comments from council on this item? If there are none, I would take a motion to approve Mr. Seals as a police officer. Councilman Sukram,
I'll make that motion to appoint Otis Seals as police officer.
Councilman Sukram. Oh, Councilwoman Ganem,
Second.
please vote.
That motion carries 8-0, Mayor.
All right, he is approved. I don't believe Mr. Seals is here this evening. We'll welcome him to our department. All right, item 3 is under public hearings is resolution 2025-118, recommending the approval of a Class C liquor license application of Annexia Hospitality LLC, doing business as the Fairfield Inn and Suites by Marriott, 2410 Jaeger Road.
Thank you, Mayor. City Council, this is presenting a new application for a Class C liquor license for the Fairfield Inn Suites by Marriott at 2410 Yeager Road. Council can do one of 4 things with this item. They can approve, they can make no recommendation to the Nebraska Liquor Control Commission, they can make no recommendation with stipulations, or they can deny the application outright. I can take any questions.
Councilman Jensen.
Is this a new service they're going to have there? Are they reopening a bar or opening a bar, or is this something that's brand new? I mean, a lot of times they've got bars there already.
I believe it's a transfer of ownership. I don't believe prior ownership was serving alcohol. But I do believe it's a new service.
Any other questions? I'll now open the public hearing on this item. Are there any comments from the public? Please come forward and come here to this first seat to my left. You can state your name and address, please.
Good afternoon, Dion Gordon, 2410 North Jaeger Road, Fremont, Nebraska, 68025. I have the pleasure of serving as the general manager of that property, and I'm here, if I can, to help to answer any questions.
Thank you for being here, Mr. Gordon. Are there any questions? Not seeing any. Are there any other comments from the public? Any additional comments from council? If there are none, I would take a recommendation to approve. Councilman Jensen,
I'll make a recommendation to approve resolution 2025-118.
Councilman Sukram,
I'll second.
cast your votes.
That motion carries 8-0, Mayor.
Thank you. We'll now move on to the consent agenda. All items in the consent agenda are considered to be routine by the city council and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member or a citizen so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered separately. Are there any items to be removed from the consent agenda by council or staff? Are there any items to be removed from the public? Okay. Seeing none, I would take a motion to approve the consent agenda. Councilman Horner,
I will make the motion to approve the consent agenda as it is shown.
Councilman Jensen,
Second.
cast your votes.
That motion carries 8-0, Mayor.
Now moving on to new business is item 16, which is ordinance 5715, authorizing the issuance of approximately 83 million in combined revenue bonds for the Department of Utilities. This would be for first reading. I have Jeff Shanahan, our utility general manager, and Scott Keen, Piper Sandler. The floor is yours, gentlemen.
Mayor, City Council, we need to ask you to receive a document from Mr. Keen.
Okay, right. Councilman Sukram.
Motion to receive.
Okay, Councilwoman Ganem.
Second.
Cast your votes. Again, this is to receive.
That motion carries 8-0, Mayor.
Okay.
Mayor, City Council, Jeff Shanahan, Utility General Manager. We're here to request authorization to issue bonds for utility projects that have been already approved and projects that are in our 5-year capital improvement plan that we will be working on going forward. A few of the projects that have already been approved and are working on is the generator rewind project and the effluent limitation guidelines at the power plant. The work at substations E and G for the transformers and switch gears, and the transformer at substation A. Those projects equal about $20 million. A while back, council approved a resolution authorizing reimbursement of reserve funds from bond proceeds. And Mr. Keen is here to discuss the mechanics of the bonding and how we'll go about getting those funds to reimburse plus move some projects forward.
Thank you, Jeff. Scott Keen with Piper Sandler. I'm the municipal advisor for the city, helping with all of your bond issues. The ordinance that's before you tonight authorizes the issuance of up to $83 million in one or more series of bonds. The current anticipation is that we would be issuing the bonds in 3 series over the next 2.5 years or so, as needed for the projects that have already been described. The first financing would be in the amount to fund approximately $21 million of construction, a fair amount of which has already been completed, and the city's cash has been used to pay for those projects. So the bond issue would actually be reimbursing you for monies that you've already spent on the project. The summary that I handed out is really just describing not only the details of the ordinance, namely, again, the 2 basic parameters are the par amount not to exceed the $83 million, but also a true interest cost not to exceed 5.25%. The city traditionally takes financings like this to a competitive sales. We hold an auction, an electronic auction, to market the bonds. But before we get to that point, we deliver a whole host of documents to the rating agency. They deliver the rating to us. Currently, Standard & Poor's rates our combined utility bonds a AA-, which is the 3rd highest rating category. So a very, very strong rating for the city and its combined utilities. But as I mentioned, this first financing would be in an amount of to fund approximately $21 million. Today's interest rates equate to about 4.42%. Rates have been moving around quite a lot, especially in the last month and a half, with a lot of the budget discussions in DC as well as the tariff discussions have dramatically impacted the municipal bond market as well as the stock market. The financing at today's interest rates, again, would result in annual debt service payments of about just over $1.6 million. If all $83 million that was authorized were issued in today's rates, we'd have debt service payments of approximately $6.3 million over a 20-year period. The city traditionally does these kinds of revenue bonds with a 20-year amortization, and that's what we've analyzed, and that's what this ordinance authorizes as well. Assuming you decide you'd like to proceed with this, tonight would be the first reading. We'd be back at the meetings in June for second and third readings, delivering documents to the rating agency late in June, getting the rating middle of July, holding the sale late in July, and delivering the proceeds to the city in August. So we can move forward fairly quickly to deliver the funds and keep the process going and lock in the interest rate, at least on this first piece of the authorized financing. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Councilman Jensen?
Would there be any advantage to moving this forward on this tonight, going to suspending the rules, going to third and final, getting this stuff on the market a month earlier?
We may not be able to get there quite a month earlier because we're still in the process of drafting the offering document and a few of the other documents that are needed for the financing, but it would absolutely accelerate the process by at least a couple weeks, if not 3 weeks. So yes, it would get us to the market sooner. Can't tell you whether interest rates will be higher 2 weeks from now or 2 weeks earlier than the July date that we were talking about. But clearly, the sooner we go, the more we're minimizing the interest rate risk that we are exposed to when we're just hoping that interest rates hold.
Councilman Von Baeren?
Yeah, my questions are primarily just on the project. Jeff, I warned you.
Yep.
No, what I'm trying to understand is as we look at our electrical future, we're looking at solar versus coal, natural gas. I'm sure they'll all be in the mix. How much solar are we looking to add? I mean, 20 years down the road, what's our percentage solar now? 20 years from now, what will it be?
Our percentage of solar right now is in the 1% to 2% solar. We have very little bit of solar in our fleet. Solar gives you about a 20% load factor. I mean, it only produces basically 20% of its nameplate rating. There is the benefit of solar in the summertime where it's coincident, it tends to give its maximum output when it's the hottest. And so in the summertime, it helps. In the wintertime, it really doesn't. Our peak demands are in the dark. So solar really doesn't help us that much in the wintertime, lowering our peak. But we would be looking at somewhere in the probably 5, 6, 7 megawatts of solar that we'd put on our system.
And that would equate to what percent over time?
3%.
Okay. So, all right. So
Very
it's not
little amount. We have much more wind in our system than we do solar.
No, the reason I was asking, just trying to get a perspective with obviously we've had a little bit of experience with hail, and should something like that come in, and when you start looking at coal expense, gas efficiency, that kind of thing, it just seems to, that's good. I'm glad we're not betting the bank on it. When we look at the total project down here at the future, I guess looking at $122 million price tag ultimately, how are our projections based? How much of this are we basing on residential need versus business expansion? Where are we roughly in that mix?
When we look at these, currently what we're doing is we're saying there's a value to capacity on the system. So if a company comes in, they're going to be requesting to participate in the future generation capacity. Right now, our rates are divvied out in a fair and equitable way. When we do our rate studies, they look at the cost of all the services and they allocate rates according to the rate classes so that everybody is treated fairly. That's not going to change. It's just the capital investment, what aid to construction folks will be having to pay will help participate in the capacity build out.
So by the time we get done with all of this net, our total power generation capacity, basically I'm talking about electrical here primarily, when we now versus the future at the end of this project, what percentage increase? You've stated it however you want. How much are we expanding present capacity over these 20 years?
We're currently in a study right now to determine that actual number. What we're looking at in this bond issue is building out a smaller generator type system to provide just enough energy to get us to where we meet the SPP capacity requirements today. That'll be kind of a bridge till the study gets done. And then we'll be looking at what we need to build out in the future because council approved for us to go back to GDS to update our integrated resource plan, looking at a large industrial load coming online and doing that step change and then taking a growth from that point forward. So we're doing the study right now to determine, one, how much generation do we need to build? And two, what types of generation? Is it recip engines, aeroderivative turbines, frame turbines, gas, oil, mixture of both or mixture of all?
Just a ballpark guess now versus then.
I don't want to guess really. I mean, I've got some ideas of where I think we should go, but the reality is I want the study to tell us what we want or what we need, not what I want.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Councilman Horner.
Thank you, Mayor. Two questions, really. First, Jeff, for you, and I know a lot of this is for, current demands, meeting current demands, et cetera, for, expansion and growth as we go forward. How much of this is to take care of the changes? You've mentioned this prior. There's been some changes in the way we have to meet peak demand. How much of this is going just to take care of that new requirement for us to meet peak demand?
Right now, based on our estimates, what we put into this capital improvement when we submitted it for the folks that do the bonds is, I think, around 10 or 11 million dollars was for generation, both solar and basically what we're looking at is a small generating unit that would allow us to black start the gas turbine. We know we had a complete power outage during the winter storm we had in March. We'd like to be able to, had that been a little bit different, we might have been out of power for quite a bit longer than the 4 hours. So we'd like to be able to black start that gas turbine, get it up and running to provide energy, and then be able to start the power plant up with that turbine. So those are the two electrical systems we're looking at in this bond issue. That will bridge the gap while we're doing the study. None of these things happen in a hurry. They're all long-term projects. We're looking at probably 2 years, 3 years out before we get something online.
Thank you. And then the second question would be for you, Scott. Could you just explain to me what a current true interest rate is and how that's calculated?
You might not like the answer any better than the question, but it is an internal rate of return calculation that equates all of the future payments made on the bonds to the amount of proceeds that are delivered to the city at the time that the bond issue is settled. So it includes not only the interest rate that you're paying on the bonds, but also the underwriter's discount. When we talk about going to an electronic bid to sell the bonds, those are underwriting firms that are bidding on your bonds, Wall Street and regional investment banking firms that bid on your bonds. And they include in their bid not only the interest rate, but also their fee. And that true interest cost is an internal rate of return calculation that brings together their interest rate and their fee to provide an ultimate rate. And it's the key number that is used by us to evaluate the bids. That's how we determine who the winning bidder is. It's the firm that provides the lowest true interest cost to the city.
All right, thank you.
Councilwoman Ganem.
We're going through a study right now. Do you have a projected timeline when it would be completed?
Yeah, when we initially met with them, it was 6 to 12 months. We've provided we had a meeting with them and they sent a request for information. We've submitted all of the data for the request for information. Didn't get with them because of the holiday, but I'm going to work with them this week to see where we're at on the study. I'd prefer it to be 6 months rather than a year. So we're going to keep pushing to try to move that along as fast as we can.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments from the council? Not seeing any. Thank you. Are there any additional comments from the public? Any additional comments from council? Councilman Von Baron.
Yeah, Jeff, could I, could I bother you with a couple of questions?
You have
Sorry about that.
No, and a lot of this is my unfamiliarity with the process, and I really don't have any concerns about projections, what you're anticipating, I mean, the work itself. The question is, as we look at a project like this, do we have, obviously, it's a big investment that we're gonna be making. And do we look at how the revenues are likely to be returned to the city?
This bond that we're doing, these projects, it is not solely electric.
No, I understand.
We're
I'm
looking to build a
talking the
horizontal well, the
total
treatment.
project,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
So do we do anything forecasting out 20 years from now? The revenues that we expect for these repayments will be coming from this source, this source, this source. Maybe it's an accounting question.
Yeah, we, like I said, we do rate studies to determine the cost of each rate class. And we look at the cost of our projects, look at the capital improvement projects, take the cost of those financed over the period of time, build those into the rates for our expenses, and then determine the rates for each rate class. When we build a horizontal well, it's not for one customer. It is for the entire, everybody's that drinks water is going to benefit from that well for the next 30, 40 years that well is in operation.
Well, and part of my question is just trying to understand it. And I know there are variables here that you cannot predict or project, but part of the discussion we had, we were talking about city budget. It's almost certain that as we bring in new businesses, especially for the Port Authority, et cetera, that there are going to be requests for tax concessions and utilities concessions and that kinds of things, those kinds of things. The question is, does this financing somewhat set the bar for how we answer those questions? For example, the industry comes saying, I need this much power, I need this much utility, sewer capacity, whatever it is. Do we answer those questions based on the bonds and the revenue that is required to repay those? Does that drive our thinking?
No, I'm going to try to, maybe I'll repeat it.
Go ahead.
We're going to build
Help
these
me.
projects. This is what the projects cost to build.
Yes.
We're going to build these projects whether there's a business comes in or not.
Okay.
When you look at the electrical, which is what's in high demand right now,
Mhm.
and same with water or same with sewer system, we, in our current rate structure, we do a calculation to determine how much of the sewer system somebody is using. And then that becomes their portion of the contribution to that sewer system for a business. For that's a significant user of the system. That's similar to what we do with the electric system too. Those are built into our systems and that's how we apply it. What we're asking for here is bonds to get these projects done, whether a business comes in or not. This is a 40-year investment for the city when we put in a new well or when we install a new gas pipeline in to increase gas line capacity out to the gas turbine so we can run the generator in the wintertime and those types of things. So all of these projects are an improvement on the system that we're asking for, not necessarily for just one individual customer.
So we're not building them based on expected anticipated use or whatever.
Well, yeah, we forecast use. I mean, we plan on growing at a certain rate. That's why we're redoing the integrated resource plan again, because when we initially did it, we looked at a 1 or 2% load growth. Well, with all the activity going on for growth in the community, we're now saying, okay, what happens if that does a step change of 10 megawatts and then grows at 1.5%? Where are we going to be? What do we need for generation? We do similar things like that as what we need for water. How much water do we forecast we're going to need? But yeah, we want to look at growth. We're not building for today, obviously.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Councilman Horner.
Actually, Mayor, I had turned mine on. I think Sally was about to make a motion. Well, if that is the case, then I would make the motion then that we approve or recommend for first reading ordinance 5715, authorizing the issuance of approximately $83 million in combined revenue bonds.
Councilwoman Ganem,
Second.
cast your votes, please.
That motion carries 8-0, Mayor. Ordinance number 5715, an ordinance authorizing the issuance of combined utilities revenue bonds to be issued in one or more series of the city of Fremont, Nebraska in the aggregate principal amount of not to exceed $83 million for the purpose of paying the cost of certain improvements to the combined utilities of the city, directing the application of the proceeds of said bonds, prescribing the form, terms, and details of said bonds, pledging and hypothecating the revenue and earnings of the combined electric system, water system, sewer system, and gas system of said city for the payment of said bonds and the interest thereon, providing for the collection, segregation, and application of the revenues of said systems, providing for the sale of the bonds, appointing a paying agent, authorizing the mayor or designee to award the sale of the bonds to the bidder, providing the most favorable bid to the city at a public sale, authorizing the delivery of the bonds and the purchase and to the purchaser, approving post-issuance compliance procedures, and providing for publication of ordinance and pamphlet form, first read.
Good job, sir. Good job. Councilman Jensen.
Well, that was so good, I'm gonna make him do it again. I'm going to request to suspend the rules and move ordinance 5715 to the third and final reading at this time.
Councilman Sukram.
I'll second.
Okay, cast your votes to suspend rules. Move to final reading on this. Ordinance 5715.
That motion carries 7-1, Mayor.
Ready to do this again?
Yep.
Or a final reading.
Ordinance number 5715, an ordinance authorizing the issuance of combined utilities revenue bonds to be issued in one or more series of the city of Fremont, Nebraska in the aggregate principal amount of not to exceed $83 million for the purpose of paying the cost of certain improvements to combined utilities of the city, directing the application of the proceeds of said bonds, prescribing the form, terms, and details of said bonds, pledging and hypothecating the revenue and earnings of the combined electric system, water system, sewer system, and gas system of said city for the payment of said bonds and the interest thereon, providing for the collection, segregation, and application of the revenues of said systems, providing for the sale of the bonds, appointing a paying agent, authorizing the mayor or designee to award the sale of the bonds to the bidder, providing the most favorable bid to the city at a public sale, authorizing the delivery of the bonds to the purchaser, approving post-issuance compliance procedures, and providing for the publication of ordinance in pamphlet form, final read.
Cast your final vote. Ordinance 5715.
The motion carries 8-0, Mayor. Ordinance 5715 is approved.
Item 17 is ordinance 5716, authorizing the purchase agreement of a lot in the Christensen Business Park to Dosta Farm Real Estate, Inc. And this is also a consider request to suspend rules and move to final reading. I'll have a staff report on this item.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of council, Jody Sanders, City Administrator. We've been approached by a company by the name of Dosto Farms out of Germany to purchase property out at Christensen Business Park. There's 2 or 3 parcels left out there. And we have Dan Gray here from Dosto Farms, as well as Thomas Logman, who's on Zoom, that we're working on getting him on Zoom, who is in Germany right now. Dan, did you want to talk a little bit about your company a little bit while we're...
Sure, I'd be happy to. Good evening, Mayor and council members. So I'm Dan Graham, Vice President of Sales for Dosto Farm North America. I live in Mendota Heights, Minnesota. We're a 25-year-old privately held company. Our primary business is essential oils that we grow and further manufacture for animal livestock. So we do a lot of business with swine producers, poultry producers, dairy, beef companies throughout the world. We're in about 60 countries. So right now our only manufacturing facility is in Northwest Germany, Westerstede, and we have grown. We've been in the United States for a little over 10 years, but in the last 4 to 5 years, we've seen significant growth. Plus, the use of antibiotics is further reduced in livestock production. The market continues to grow, and we want to bring manufacturing. I'm here to answer any questions, and hopefully Thomas, our CEO, Pastor Stita, as Peter answered questions.
Welcome all the way from Germany on Zoom. It must be early in the morning out there, huh?
It is 2:30.
That's big commitment to Fremont. That definitely shows that for sure.
Absolutely. Love to be there.
Very good.
So we have already received bids from a couple contractors, and we've narrowed it down to one contractor. They are construction, and our goal is to be up and running by
Good. Okay, well, are there any comments from the council or questions? Councilman Horner?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Just one quick question. Can you tell me, I mean, roughly how many people are you gonna have
Sure.
on site, employed,
Yeah.
et cetera?
Yeah, it's a relatively small footprint. We're looking at roughly about 15,000 square feet, 1,000 of office, and the rest is manufacturing and warehouse. We'll do dry manufacturing and liquid manufacturing. Well, we're looking starting anywhere from 4 to 6 employees. Plant manager, quality manager, plant operators, start one.
Councilman Von Baron?
I'm just curious, roughly average salary per employee, do you have a ballpark number?
Yeah, we put in the plan 65,000 with full benefits.
Very good. So why Fremont?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. Candidly, I was tasked with this project, and we looked at Nebraska, we looked at Iowa, we looked at South Dakota, and I would say bar none, the hospitality and the willingness to and the desire to have us in Nebraska was amazing. We met with the governor last year in Europe, and also from one of our board members and one of the key owners of the company. He's related to another company that built that came to the U.S. in Omaha about 18 years ago. So there's a lot of familiarity, and there's a number of employees as well from Germany that have moved over to Nebraska. So for all of those reasons, tax incentives, labor, community was very important for us. We have outstanding company culture in Buster Stita, and having the right community with the right labor force, but schools and overall just basically, livability, medical, it was very important for us. So
Thank you. Welcome.
and also obviously we do a lot of business in the Midwest.
Thank you.
Very good. Any other questions or comments from council? Mr. Logeman, would you like to address the council at all, or anything else you'd like to add?
Well, I think Dan made a lot of good points. We're excited to pursue this project further with the city of Fremont. And well, we hope for the approval of the purchase contract and look forward to good collaboration with you guys.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that presentation. I'll now open it up to any comments from the public on this item. there any additional comments from council? Councilman Horner?
Mayor, if there are no additional comments from council, I would like to make the motion that we approve for final read or for first reading ordinance 5716, authorizing the purchase agreement of the lot at Christensen Business Park.
Councilman Sukram?
I'll second.
Cast your votes for first reading.
That motion carries 8-0, Mayor. Ordinance number 5716, an ordinance of the city of Fremont, Nebraska. An ordinance pertaining to the sale and conveyance of real estate owned by the city of Fremont, Nebraska to Dost Farm Real Estate, Inc. pursuant to Nebraska law. First read.
Councilman Jensen?
I'll make the motion to suspend the rules and move ordinance 5716 to the third and final reading.
Councilman Sukram?
I'll second.
Cast your votes, please.
That motion carries 8-0, Mayor. Ordinance number 5716, ordinance pertaining to the sale and conveyance of real estate owned by the city of Fremont, Nebraska to Dost Farm Real Estate, Inc. pursuant to Nebraska law.
Cast your final vote.
That motion carries 8-0, Mayor. Ordinance number 5716 is approved.
Well, welcome to Fremont. Glad you're here. All the best to your project, and appreciate all the work you did with our team as well, and look forward to having you in Fremont. So thank you very much. All right, we'll move on. Item 18 is resolution 2025-122, awarding the contract to Ideal Construction for the remodel of the City of Fremont Municipal Building, second floor, phase 2, in the amount of $282,419.
Mayor, City Council, Jeff Shanahan, Utility General Manager. This is the second phase of the second floor remodel. It gets the admin offices and the front counter there in the admin side. We went out for bids. Architectural Innovations did the architectural work on this half of the building, and they did the other half. We worked together to come up with a floor plan over there and a design layout. We went out for bids. We had a number of bidders on this one versus this half. We only had 2 bidders. So we got a number of bids on this project. And we're recommending Ideal Construction as the lowest bidder for $282,419.
Questions? Councilman Horner?
Thank you, Mayor. Jeff, did you say that Ideal was the one that did work here?
No, Elevate Construction is who did this half.
Okay.
Architectural Innovations was the architect that did the design for this half. And then we asked him to do the design for the other half once this one was finished.
And roughly what's the timing on that project?
If approved, I think they can start work on the 16th of June. And they're saying 120 days, but we're gonna, when we have our pre-con meeting on the 5th, we'll try to iron that out. Yes, you guys are fine. Everybody else is gonna be a little bit of a mess. Yep.
Okay, any other questions from council? Any comments from the public on this item? If there's no other additional questions from council, I'd take a motion. Councilman Vaughn?
Motion to approve.
Councilwoman Lathrop?
Second.
Cast your votes.
That motion carries 8-0, Mayor.
Item 19 is resolution 2025-119, authorizing the amendment number 4 to the RD Leasing Redevelopment Agreement, issuance of TIF note phase 4 in the amount of $50,700. This was the item from the CDA meeting, now on the council meeting. Are there any other questions or comments from council on this? Are there any comments from the public on this item? If there's no other comments, I'd take a motion. Councilman Jensen?
I'll make the motion to approve resolution 2025-119.
Councilman Sukram,
Second.
cast your votes.
That motion carries 8-0, Mayor.
Item 20 is resolution 2025-120, awarding contract for 16th Street Asphalt Overlay Project to Western Engineering Company, Inc. in the amount of $745,801.75. Staff report.
Troy Shaven, city engineer. City went out for bids for asphaltic overlay for 16th Street from Nye east to Lincoln Avenue. They received 5 bids. Western Engineering was the lowest bid at $745,801.75. Western has done multiple projects in Fremont, multiple overlay projects in Fremont. They're a very good asphalt contractor. The schedule for the project, there will be some overlap with the Broad Street overlay. Schedule for the project is going to be July-ish to early fall. The day they start, it'll probably be 6 to 8 weeks to get to the point where it's drivable. It may not be completely done. There may still be barricades. They may be doing storm sewer curb inlet, curb work, seating, striping, signage, stuff like that. But it should take about 6 to 8 weeks to get from first move in to where it's drivable and completely overlaid. I can try to answer the questions.
Any questions? Councilwoman Lathrop?
Is there any way that you can request that they start on this Lincoln end and work the other way due to school traffic?
Mhm.
Awesome.
We'll have our preliminary kickoff meeting with them. We'll tell them that's the side we want to start on.
Any other questions or comments from council? Any comments from the public on this? Any additional comments from council? There are none, to take a motion. Councilman Sukram.
Make a motion on resolution 2025-120.
Councilman Vaughn.
I will second.
Cast your votes.
That motion carries 8-0, Mayor.
We take a motion to adjourn. Councilman Jensen.
So moved.
Councilman Vaughn.
Second.
Cast your votes.
That motion carries 8-0, Mayor.
We are adjourned. Have a good night, everybody.